Welcome to this video. Today we gonna talk about Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman. Make sure you subscribe and like. Let's get started. Introduction. On the summer evening of August 4, 2002, two innocent 10-year-old girls, Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman, vanished from the small town of Soham, Cambridgeshire. What followed was one of the most tragic and infamous cases in modern British criminal history. The community, along with the nation, was gripped by fear, confusion, and heartbreak as the search for the girls unfolded. However, as the investigation progressed, it became clear that the person responsible for the disappearance of Holly and Jessica was someone they had trusted, Ian Huntley. In this video, we'll dive into the chilling story of the Soham murders, the events that led to the brutal killings, the investigation that followed, and the devastating impact it had on the victims' families, the community, and the nation. Background: Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman. Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman were two vibrant and lively 10-year-old girls, best friends who had grown up together in the small village of Soham. Holly, known for her outgoing personality, and Jessica, who was a bit more reserved but equally sweet, were inseparable. They spent their days riding bikes, playing games, and enjoying the innocence of childhood. On that fateful day, August 4, 2002, the girls had just returned from a local store, where they had bought a couple of items for a family celebration. It was an ordinary day in Soham, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Holly and Jessica had left their homes and made their way to a nearby football field. They were expected to return soon, but as the evening passed, their families began to worry when they didn't come home. The disappearance. A nation gripped by fear. As the hours ticked by and Holly and Jessica didn't return, their families became increasingly concerned. By nightfall, a search began. The local police were notified, and within hours, a full-scale investigation was launched. As the search intensified, it became clear that the girls had vanished without a trace. At first, there were no signs of a struggle or any indication of where the girls had gone. The town of Soham, a peaceful and quiet place, was rocked by the sudden disappearance of two children. Neighbors, friends, and families rallied together in the search efforts, hoping for a miracle. But as days turned into weeks, the possibility of the girls being lost or kidnapped seemed less and less likely. The investigation. Ian Huntley and his role. As the investigation into the disappearance of Holly and Jessica deepened, the focus turned to Ian Huntley, a local man who worked as a caretaker at the nearby Soham Village College. Huntley had been known to the girls and their families, as they had encountered him several times before. He lived in a house not far from the girls' homes, and he was seen talking to them on the day of their disappearance. At first, Huntley seemed cooperative with the police, but his behavior quickly began to raise suspicions. He had initially claimed that he had seen the girls walking near his home but denied any involvement in their disappearance. However, his story was inconsistent, and key details didn't match up with the evidence found at the scene. Huntley's criminal history also began to surface during the investigation. He had previously been investigated for sexual offenses but had not been convicted. The police began to dig deeper into his background, and soon, it became apparent that they had a major breakthrough in the case. The discovery of the bodies. A nation in mourning. After several days of searching, a breakthrough came on August 17, 2002. The bodies of Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman were discovered in a nearby ditch, around 10 miles away from Soham. They had been murdered and left in a secluded area. The discovery of the girls' bodies brought devastating news to the families, and the entire country mourned their loss. The cause of death was determined to be asphyxiation, and forensic evidence pointed to the fact that both girls had been murdered by someone they had known. The level of brutality and the fact that their killer was someone they had trusted sent shockwaves through the community and the nation. The trial. Ian Huntley's conviction. In the months that followed, the police focused their investigation on Ian Huntley, whose lies and inconsistencies had made him a prime suspect. His behavior during the investigation became increasingly erratic, and he was ultimately arrested and charged with the murders of Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman. Huntley's trial began in November 2003. The prosecution presented a strong case against him, outlining how his lies and actions on the day of the girl's disappearance had pointed to his guilt. Forensic evidence also linked him to the crime scene, and it became clear that Huntley had been responsible for the brutal murders. In December 2003, after a lengthy trial, Ian Huntley was found guilty of 2 counts of murder and sentenced to life in prison. His then-girlfriend, Maxine Carr, who had helped him cover up his involvement, was also convicted of perverting the course of justice. Huntley's conviction brought some semblance of closure to the families of Holly and Jessica, but the pain of their loss would never fully fade. The aftermath, the impact on the families and the community. The murders of Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman left an indelible mark on the families involved, as well as the community of Soham. Holly's parents, Kevin and Nicola Wells, and Jessica's parents, Sharon and Leslie Chapman, were devastated by the loss of their daughters. In the years following the trial, both families have worked to keep their daughters' memories alive, setting up charitable foundations and advocating for child safety. The tragedy also had a profound impact on the community of Soham, which had once been a peaceful and quiet village. The murders exposed how the most trusted individuals can hide dark secrets, and it prompted changes in child safety laws and procedures throughout the UK. The case sparked debates about the need for better screening and background checks for people working with children. The dark legacy of Ian Huntley. Ian Huntley's actions and the murder of Holly and Jessica left a deep scar in British society. He remains one of the most notorious criminals in the country, serving his life sentence at a high-security prison. Huntley's case has raised questions about the rehabilitation of convicted offenders, as well as how people like him can be allowed to work with children despite their criminal backgrounds. In 2004, a report found that Huntley had been able to gain employment at Soham Village College despite a history of allegations. The case triggered reforms in how schools and institutions conduct background checks on staff members working with children. Conclusion: a tragic reminder of innocence lost. The murders of Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman are a heartbreaking reminder of the vulnerabilities faced by children in a world where trust can be easily betrayed. Holly and Jessica were innocent victims, their lives stolen by someone they knew and trusted. Their deaths not only shocked the nation but also prompted critical discussions about child protection and safety. The families of Holly and Jessica continue to honor their daughters' memories, and the legacy of their tragic deaths lives on through the work of those who strive to protect children and prevent similar horrors from occurring. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more investigations into some of the most chilling mysteries of our time. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into real-life crime stories. What do you think of this case? Was justice served, or did it fail those who needed it most? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And I see you in the next video.